Hey guys, it's Oberstadt. So I've had some people ask me, and they've left comments in another video of mine where I was swatching all of my color correctors, and I did another video where I was swatching my concealers, and I had several people ask me to compare the Tarte Shape Tape with the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. This is in the shade C2, this one's in Fair. So this one's supposed to have, it's fair with neutral undertones, this one is fair with yellow undertones. The only thing I have on my face right now is the Wet n Wild Cushion Corrector in yellow. I always use a yellow color corrector to hide my dark circles in my under eye area. The other thing I have on underneath of that is just a real simple eye cream, if I can find it. I have the Air Repair Super Hydrating Eye Cream underneath of that just because my eye area has been super dry lately and I wanted to make sure that it was well hydrated. So those are the only two products that I have on my face. I will be using my little Real Techniques blending sponge to blend out, and I'll spin it around to blend out both sides. I'm going to be using the same powder that I always use under my eyes, which is a combination of the Coty Airspun and the extra coverage one and I mixed it with the Maybelline Fit Me in Fair, and then there's hyaluronic acid drops in here as well, and they're just kind of mixed together. So that's what I've been using on my under eyes for months now. That's what I've been preferring, and so hopefully this helps. I will also be including swatches of the two shades next to each other, as well as what they look like blended out with a finger versus a sponge, so that you can see not only the shade comparison but how they blend as well. So hopefully you find this helpful. If you do, keep watching, because I'm going to be doing one eye with one and one eye with the other, so you can see not only shade comparison but coverage as well. Okay, so starting with the Makeup Revolution, I'm going to be putting it here to give you a color comparison to the Shape Tape. I'm also going to be putting a swatch here and a swatch here of it as well. Now, before that dries, I'm going to be blending it out. I'm going to use the sponge and blend out this side. And I'm just using tapping, dabbing motions. And then I'm going to take my finger and blend out this side. I know some people prefer to use their fingers to blend versus, a brush or a sponge. So there are all three. Hopefully I left enough room in between here. Now for the Shape Tape in shade Fair, I'm going to do the same thing, a swatch, a swipe, and a swipe. And then I'm just going to turn the little sponge around and blend. And then using my other finger, I'm going to blend this one out. And there are all the swatches. I'm going to turn my ring light down just a little. Okay, I turn my ring light down almost all the way so you can see the Makeup Revolution in C2 and the Shape Tape in Fair. You can see how light they are, and both of them are just about all the way dry. And then you have the two that I blended out with the little Real Techniques sponge. And you can see the Makeup Revolution one basically blends into my skin and vanishes, whereas the Shape Tape is just a little bit lighter. And then here are the two swatches where I blended it out with a finger. And they are much closer in shade match, blending it out with my finger, than it would be with the sponge. You can see this one's just a hint lighter, but it's not much different than my arm color. This actually looks darker than my arm color. So there are all the up-close swatches and blending methods for the Makeup Revolution versus the Tarte Shape Tape. prepare the swatches now that they are dry. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape under this eye here, which is my left eye, but it is your right side. And I always like to take off the extra inside the lid. I close my eyes like that because what it does is it causes my under eye to like show all the little fine lines under my lash line. And because my face skin is darker due to a face wash that I was using, this concealer actually looks a little too light for my skin, but as you saw on the swatches on my arm, as it dries, it's just about the same color as my skin. But because my face is so much darker than my neck, it looks lighter. And I like bring this out, I bring it onto the side of my nose, I bring it down onto my cheek to like blend, so that, because I don't wear foundation, I wear corrector and concealer on a regular basis, and so I don't want like a harsh line here on my face. So that's why I'm like continually blending this down, and then I'm just going to set it with powder. Okay, so now that I've got this side done and it's powdered and everything, I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution on the other side. Make sure that I turn it around and don't use the same side. Just going to tap out to make sure that the corrector that I put on this side isn't creasing. It is a little creasy on my eyelid, but that's to be expected. I have a pretty severe crease on my eyelid. So again, I'm taking the extra off on the lid or the rim. Now I leave this little guy out, and I'll explain why in a minute. I usually let this sit for a couple of seconds, or like I'll grab one of these like eye mask things and like do this to dry it just a little bit before I try and blend it out. And then I'll go in and tap my little guy over it. And just like the other side, I do bring it up on the side of my nose because I have some discoloration there as well. I bring it down onto my cheek and then out here, as well as over my eyelid. Sorry that the air conditioner just came on. I've been trying to record, but it seems like every 5 minutes the darn thing's running, so. Okay, now that I've got it blended out, you can see that this side has like a lot of discoloration considering this side I only went in once, which is why I leave the doe foot out. And I will go back in, and with whatever product is left, I put a little bit more on. I find that this one has a little bit more sheer coverage. It's also a little bit creamier than the Tarte Shape Tape. It takes a little bit longer to dry than this one here, so you have quite a bit of like work time with it. And I usually go over my eyelid with it as well, and then if I go and need to do like an eye look or something, I'll throw an eye primer on over the concealer that's on my eyelid, and then I'll just blend it out with the sponge. Usually I'll go in with eye primer first and then do my corrector and my concealer. That way I've kind of got it all done at once, and then I just run the powder over my eyelid that I use under my eye. I have a crease like right here under my eye that likes to have product settle in it. And again, bringing it down onto the cheek. And then I'm going to go ahead and immediately grab powder on the little angled side of this, and I press it. I'm like pressing and pouncing at the same time. I mean, I am 38 years old. I've got all kinds of like fine lines under my eyes, but I've had those for like years, so it's not like it's a new development. But I find that by pressing this on to the under eye area, that it causes the skin to actually look a little bit smoother, which is kind of like mind-boggling to me. And I run it over my eyelid, and then I take, this is the Real Technique setting brush. There's nothing on this. This is freshly washed. I mean, I just ran it over my other eyelid, and I just kind of like go back and forth over it, and I'll like buff whatever's left. And if I need like more powder, like I feel like the brush is like tugging just a little bit, I usually flip the little lid over for my powder, and I get a little bit on the tip, and I just kind of tap it into the lid and then just press it over my under eye area. That way the brush doesn't feel like it's tugging or pulling. And then that way I know that everything is set. Now occasionally I'll go in and I'll like put corrector over or concealer over like blemishes. Like I've got one here on my chin that just came up this morning. I've got one here that's healing. I've got one here that's healing. I've got like a little patch of them here that's healing. And that's from eating, I ate a chocolate bar the other day, an actual Hershey's chocolate bar, and my face is like, nope, can't have chocolate, not today. And then if I have problems like with it looking like powdery, I'll just take the sponge again after everything is set, and then just kind of like tap over everything. And you figure this little guy is still damp, but it doesn't have like any extra product or anything on it. And it just kind of helps like take away any like powdery look that I have on my face. I do have very dry skin. And then I'm going to come closer, and then that way you can see what this looks like. And then I'll do some video outside so you can see what this looks like in daylight. So there are both sides done. Now, because this side's been just freshly done and this one's been sitting on my face for about 10 minutes, you can see that the color isn't quite as bright. I wanted to try and get you like an up close look of my under eyes. But my face is basically ready for blush, bronzer, highlight, but I'm going to go ahead and take you outside and record so you can see this in direct sunlight. Hey guys, it's Oberstadt. So I wanted to record this really quick. Here is an up-close look of my face. It is after midnight right now. I have had the corrector and concealer on. This is the Tarte Shape Tape side, and this is the Makeup Revolution side. I've had both of these on for over 12 hours, and I want to show you my arm as well, to show you how the swatches have done on my arm. But I wanted to like do a close-up of my under eyes. I have mistakenly rubbed my eyes quite a bit. My eyes are itching, that's why they're red. But this is what they're looking like at 12 hours of wear. And then these are the dried swatches. All the swatches are still on my arm. So the very first one is the Makeup Revolution. And the second one is, of course, the Tarte Shape Tape. I have washed my hands quite a bit. As you can see, the Makeup Revolution one, it's kind of like faded a little bit, and it looks patchy now, whereas the Tarte Shape Tape one definitely doesn't look faded or patchy, but you can see how they blended out on the skin. This is with the beauty sponge here, and then this was with my finger. You can definitely see that they're darker than my skin tone. I mean, especially here. These are definitely darker than my natural skin color. I haven't found a concealer that is light enough. And it's funny with them, when they first went on, they looked fine, but now you can definitely tell now that they've been on for 12 hours on my arm, that they're quite a bit darker than my natural skin color. So hopefully this is helpful with showing you what these look like hours and hours later. Okay, we are outside. I'm currently under the trees. That way you can see what my face looks like out here in some shade. Let me go walk in the sun. And this is in direct sunlight. I'd flip the camera around so I could actually see where my face is in frame. This is direct sunlight. And then let me walk back into the shade a little bit. If you guys like these side-by-side comparison videos, let me know. I think I'm going to do some more for like mascaras and whatnot. I'm kind of in the shade here. That's a little better. But as you can see, it's not like super light under my eye. I probably should have gone over this eye a little bit more because it is a little darker than this one. But this eye is naturally darker anyways. I suffer from very bad allergies, and the dark circles are kind of like part of that, as well as the fact that my eye is kind of sunken in. But hopefully you like this, and I think I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I do like wearing both of them. Like I said, I do have very dry skin. I also have very sensitive skin. And I find as long as I've got a hydrating eye cream on underneath, it doesn't seem to matter with the Tarte Shape Tape. It doesn't like crease or flake or whatever, and I can wear that stuff for like 18 hours and not have it go anywhere. The Makeup Revolution one lasts about 14 and a half, maybe 15 hours on me before I start seeing it like separate and like disappear on my skin. But all in all, I really like both of them, so hopefully this is helpful to somebody that is probably the same concealer shade as me, or that is looking for a corrector, or I mean a concealer for somebody that has a yellow undertone in their skin that's also fair. I know that there's not very many of us out there that have fair skin with yellow and green undertones, and it's very difficult for me to find products that work and don't look super pink or orange on my skin. So hopefully you guys have a great day or night wherever you are. I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.